Okay. Okay. So basically here, I have some data. Okay. Any idea why do we use Excel? There's a detailed information of the person or a product. Okay. Then I can mention those details in any other application, right? Why specifically we are using? Okay. For example, let me open Microsoft Word. For example, let's say I have some Word application. Yeah. For example, let me pick up something like this, which is VLOOKUP nodes. I'm just taking some random one. Yeah. Now I have something like this. So how is it different from Excel?
It's a formalized.
It is
Formalized.
formalized. What do you mean by formalized?
Sorting by number wise name.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Absolutely. Thank you so much for mentioning that word. So here we are working with spreadsheet. Why a spreadsheet? See, I have a page here. Basically, here also I can store some information, and here also I can store some information. So the main purpose is we are trying to store some information. So for example, let's say you prepare your college project. You want to make it like a write-up. Then in that case, you use Word a lot. Now, what is the specific purpose of Excel? Thank you so much. We can store it in table. But again, the same question. Why table? It will be more clear. Okay, that's it. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Formula.
Why we need formulas? Yeah. So now let me come here, guys. Even if you want to store this data in Microsoft Word, even you can store it. But the disadvantage is if you want to perform any calculations, Word is not the right application for that. Now here, what we are doing is, so we can perform some calculations here. Now, we have two important concepts here. That is, we want to store the data. But when we want to store the data, along with data storage, we try to perform calculations. Am I correct? So calculations are really, really important. Okay. So once we are done with the calculations, we try to analyze. Yeah, I'll show you a simple example. Now, I have very simple question that, for example, let's say this is your company and you have 10 employees in the company. Now, very simple question that how much we are paying as salaries based on this data. Then if I take total of this entire data, then I'm done. So let me come here. I say sum of. So let me take it from here to here. If I take it from here to here, I got a total. Is the calculation? Yes. If I go with Indian numbering system, it is like 60 lakhs, 79,340 rupees, what we are paying as salaries. This is okay. We performed calculation. But now I have another question. That is, how many employees have more than 3 lakh salary? We have 10 employees. But out of those employees, how many employees have more than 10 lakh salary? By saying, we can say 2 members. So if you have large data, can we check like this? No, we can't. So that is the reason here what we do. So when we have large data, certainly we use different features or different functionalities. Okay. So now what if the same data is in lakhs of rows? Happens, right? For example, you take Amazon or you take Flipkart, or for that matter, you take any supermarket in Hyderabad, supermarket chain, DMart, at least minimum to minimum, they'll have 50,000 transactions if you put together all the stores. Yeah. Now, out of those 50,000 transactions, I'm trying to find out how many transactions are there more than 10,000. Right? So now, for security purpose, we never store that transactions data in Excel. We store it in a secured place. That secured place, like last time we discussed, we call that as database. In database, we store it in table format. Like our friend mentioned, yes, we store that data in table format. Now, you have the table format data. No, if you have so much of data, we don't prefer to store them in Excel. The reason why, for example, now let's say I stored this in my computer. I leave it here without locking. Then you come here and can you access the file? Yes, we can simply open the file, right? And we can see what is the information is there. Is it okay if I open your bank statement like that? Secure? Very secure. We shouldn't. Yeah. So now here, data storage is important, calculation is important, and analysis is also important. But apart from this, we need to be really careful about data security. That's the biggest concern these days. What's happening? Somebody hacks somebody's Insta account or Twitter, and they post some nonsense. That is the reason most of the time celebrities come out and they say, my account is hacked. Very simple. Yeah. Now what you're doing is, without having the correct credentials, we are trying to access it. Now, if you talk about simple a tweet, it is creating a lot of chaos. Then how about financial data? We need some secure places. That is the reason we are storing the data in databases. How do we store it? We store it in table format. Now, whenever you want to refer some information, we always refer the data in table format. Simply we say customer table. Simply we say product table. And simply we say students table. Common. Yeah. Now, whenever we say customer, we are referring to customer table, especially in SQL. Whenever we are saying product, we are referring to product table. The same way we are referring to students table. Now, why I specifically took this is, when you arrange your data in table, certainly you will have some headers. Yeah, you will have headers. Under the headers, you will keep rows of data. Yeah, if it is Excel, we call these things as column. This is one column. This is another column. This is another column. This is another column. How many columns we have? 4 columns. Yeah, in this data, we have 4 columns. Yeah, and if I talk about rows, how many rows of data we have? It is 10 or 11?
Including header?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Including header, we have 11 rows. But if you exclude header, we have 10 rows. Now, so in SQL language, columns we refer as headers or field. We refer them as headers or fields. Okay. And when it comes to rows, in Excel, generally we say this as rows, but when it comes to table, we refer them as record. Now, how many fields we have? 4 fields we have. And how many records we have? 10. Yeah, because we exclude the headers. Yeah, because we don't consider header for analysis purpose. That is the reason excluding header I'm speaking. We have 10 records here. Any questions with this? No? Are we clear? Okay. Now, so today what we are going to do is, we need to do 2 activities, guys. One is, we have a concept called SQL Server. And we have a concept called SSMS. Yeah. Now, to work further, we need to install these 2 things. We need to keep it ready. Why do we have to do that? No company will give you their server to work. Am I correct? Do you think that some company will give you access to their server? Nobody gave. But we want to have some real-time experience. How is it possible? That is the reason here what we are doing is, we are creating a server in our machine. So that's where you need to install SQL Server. The same way you need to install SQL Server Management Studio. Both you have to install. How do you install them? You can just come here, and if you search for SQL Server download. Yeah. So can you see this here? Microsoft SQL Server. You just click on this. Then a setup file will be downloaded. And if you follow the instructions, then you can install it. Okay. The next thing, what we have is we need to install SQL Server Management Studio. This is what I'm referring as SSMS because I'm very lazy fellow. So I always go with shortcuts. So I'm saying SSMS, that is nothing but SQL Server Management Studio. Now let me see SQL Server Management Studio. Now, if you search for this, can you see this web page? Learn.microsoft.com. So this is where you have this SQL Server Management Studio software. Now, if you come down, can you see this? SQL Server Management Studio. You just click on this, and if you follow the instructions, you will be able to complete the installation. But before that, let me tell you the configuration requirements, guys. When I say configuration requirements, we need to have the laptop certain features. So the features what we need to have is minimum 4 GB RAM is required, guys. 4 GB RAM is mandate. And it's must to have SSD. No HDD, guys. HDD doesn't work. Why I'm saying this? Maybe initially you don't feel like the performance issue. But if you use HDD, if you try to open a file, it takes a lot of time. And we are writing a query. And if you execute the query, it will take a long time to run the query. Yeah, but here, if you don't have SSD, if you just spend around 2,000 rupees, you get one SSD, guys. 256 SSD, 256 GB SSD is enough. Okay, get it done. Then i3 latest processor or i5 or i7 is better, guys. So this is like system requirements. Yeah, if you have it, that's really good. I'm not saying that we can't work if you don't have this configuration. You can work, but it takes a lot of time. The reason why, see, maintaining server is not a simple thing, guys. And that server, what we are doing is we are installing in our machine. So your laptop should bear that burden. So that's the reason minimum 4 GB RAM is required. Are we good? Okay. To get these two softwares, you don't have to pay single rupee to anyone. Yes, I'll share those instructions, sir. What we are going to do is, as we move on, we will share this folder with you. Okay, whatever the reference material and the practice files and the supporting files, everything we have in this folder. Now, in this folder, if you come to instruction files, and can you see the SQL Server setup and SQL Server client setup? Yeah, please follow the instructions. You can get it installed. Am I clear? Okay. I'll place both of them in the WhatsApp group, or I'll ask Ritika to share them. She will share with you. Please follow the instructions and complete the installation. So before tomorrow's session, keep it ready. Okay. Then let's come here. Yeah. Now, if I come here, so we discussed that we are maintaining the data columns wise. Yeah. If you want to maintain the data columns wise, so here we have an important thing, that is each column should allow one specific kind of data. Yeah, I can't say that I'll keep the header as name and I will enter mobile number here. Is that okay? Nonsense, right? We don't do that. Now, what if we have some smart people? They do it. Intentional or unintentional, whatever. Sometimes they enter. If they enter, it should not allow. It should throw error saying like, boss, you can't enter. That's what you observe when you fill some applications, maybe government job applications or visa application or passport application. If it is mentioned like you have to enter date of birth, it accepts only date of birth. Apart from date of birth, if you try to enter anything, it will never allow. Yeah. So in technical language, we call this concept as data type. What do we mean by data type? So here, every column contains certain information. So this information is categorized as text data, numerical data, and date related data. Yeah. So on a broader view, this is what we have. MS Access, we have the same thing. MS Access is a database, right? So in MS Access, you have so many tables. Same concept we are discussing. Even you take Python, we do the same thing. You take Power BI, we do the same thing. So whenever there is a data, guys, these are quite common things. Yeah, am I clear? Sir, am I clear?
Yeah.
Okay. But here is a problem. When you say numerical, we have only one type in numeric or numbers? No? What are the different types we have? Absolutely. So we have some whole numbers. Whole number in the sense we don't have negative values here. Yeah. Then we have some integers. Yeah. Integers, these are plus or minus values. Yeah. Maybe plus 100, minus 100. So we consider that as integer. Then very painful point every day, that is petrol price. What do we have in petrol price? Sir? Okay. Do you fill petrol, sir? Okay. What is the petrol price, sir?
110.
Is it exactly 110?
Not exactly. This point, in fact, 107.5.
Something, right? We have some decimals. So now, whole numbers and integers, they don't have decimals. But whenever we talk about money, then very important thing, decimal comes into picture. We have decimals. Yeah, like you mentioned, even we have percentages. So fractions, yeah, fractions are nothing but numbers only. I say 3/4. You get some value. What the output will be decimal, but you are using numbers, right? Or I say minus 3/4. That is nothing but integer. Okay. So now in numerical values, we have these kind of different data types. Okay. So based on the data, we use different data types. Now, for example, let's say I want to store petrol price information. What kind of data type I should use? Yeah, I want to store age. Mostly whole number. Generally, we never talk about days and months. Talking age itself is a bit, yeah. So now, based on the data, we use the respective data types. Then let's come here. Even in text, we have two kinds of things, guys. One is, let me bring up this word, that is fixed length. Another one is variable length. Any idea what is this fixed length and variable length? No idea, sir? Okay. Does us have any idea? Alphabetical order? Okay. Any example? Yeah, let me give you example, guys. Your PAN number, your Aadhaar number, your passport number, your hall ticket number. Maybe the letters may change, but the length will be same. Is it fixed length or variable length? Fixed length. So when we want to store information, so the first thing what we give is fixed length. You take your driving license number, it will be fixed length. You take your order card, that will be fixed length. Yeah, but when it comes to names, can I say that I'll go with only fixed? And especially if you take Telugu states, instead of names, we'll have some rhymes. Am I correct? So here, when we want to store names, it's not possible to keep them fixed length. So basically, I'm dividing them into two categories. One is fixed length and another one is variable length. Yeah, but again, this is categorized into two categories. Anybody seen Aadhaar card? Yeah, everyone? I think that's a wrong question. Yeah. Now, do you see name only in English or do you have in other languages also? In Telugu also and Hindi also. The right word is we have in regional languages also. But have you observed your PAN card? either one language, mostly Hindi, mostly English, or if people prefer, then Hindi. 90% I say English, right? But if you take your Aadhaar, no. So now, can you consider name in the PAN and name in the Aadhaar as same? I'm talking about name wise. I'm talking about language wise. Both are not same because in one scenario, you are storing the data in only one language. But when it comes to Aadhaar, you are storing in English as well, you are storing in regional language, right? Am I clear? Yeah, you take your passport. Does it come in regional language? No, mostly English. Yeah, but when it comes to Aadhaar, the same name we are using, but instead of having only in English, we are trying to have it in the regional language, Telugu or whatever. Am I clear, guys? Now, even if you want to store text data will be categorized as two categories, mainly fixed length and variable length. So now, if I speak in SQL language, I call this as char. Char stands for character. And so here I say var char. Absolutely, sir. Variable characters, which means the length is varying. Okay. Then we have two more categories, that is nchar and nvarchar. Numerical. Do we have numbers in the name? Yeah, we don't have numbers in the name, right? As far as I know, I've never seen a name unless your Insta ID or your mail ID. Correct. So here, char and varchar are different, and nchar and nvarchar are different. So now, very simple, guys. If you go with char or varchar, you can store the data either in English or numbers. Only two things can be used here. Language will be only English. But when it comes to nchar, you can store in any language and numbers also. Now, I'll go back to my example. That is, I want to store Aadhaar details. Should it be char or nchar? I want to store PAN, char, because that's mostly English. And passport details, English, char. Yeah, your hall ticket number, char, and your group name or whatever, char. So now, based on this, we store the data. Now, some of you might be thinking, what is this N stands for? It is not number. Okay, let me come here. I come to this instruction files. Okay, if I come to T-SQL concepts, I'm accessing the third file, guys. If you come to T-SQL concepts, let me move on. We have the complete explanation on string data type. Can you see this here? We call this as string or we call this as text. Okay. In this, you can say char and you can say var. But both, how does it store is non-unique code, which is not universal language. Yeah, but when it comes to here, nchar or nvarchar, you can store the language in Unicode, which is universal language. Yeah, sir, you know it very well. If you go to other countries, they prefer their own language. Yeah, especially if you get a chance to work with people from Italy or France, Netherlands, Taiwan, Malaysia. In India, we are the shameless people that we never care about our regional language, but they speak in their own languages. Now, what if they want to store the data in their language? So we can't use char and varchar for that. There we use nchar or nvarchar because they are the universal languages. Universal codes can be applied or universal codes can be stored. Am I clear with this? Okay. Now, if I move on, no, I should scroll up. This is what I was talking about, guys. Let me minimize this a bit. So everything fits into one screen. So all these are different data types in number. The first data type, what we have here is big integer. Then we have small integer. And we have, sorry, we have integer and we have small integer. And we have tiny integer. Okay. Then I have money and small money. I'll give you a very simple scenario. Yeah. I want to store petrol price. Can somebody tell me what is the correct data type if I want to store petrol price? Yes, sir. Tiny integer? Yeah, but if you say tiny integer, it is considering 0 to 255. Are you talking about the decimals? We are missing decimals here. You can't store decimals. It will store the data from 0 to 255. For example, let's say I want to store students' information. Like each class wise, how many students are there? Max to max, you take any class, max will be 100. Yeah, max. I'm going with the maximum. Then, so you guys tell me what kind of data type I can use to store that information. Money and? Okay. So, student numbers, will they have decimals? Yeah, for petrol price, it is money. That's correct. But I want to store students' roll numbers. Tiny integer, sir. Why tiny integer? Why can't I go with big integer?
We can go, but
It is only maximum number.
the maximum strength
Hmm.
is not required.
It is not required. That's one point. But the important point here, for example, let's say there is a roll number called 20. How many characters we have? Two characters, 2 and 0. Now, if you come here, big integer, if you store it as big integer, each character occupies 8 bytes. But if you store the same thing in tiny integer, it takes 2 bytes. You guys tell me which is beneficial. Tiny integer, because you are occupying very less memory. Yeah. Even when you are traveling, less luggage, more comfort. The same thing we are doing here. We are not only storing, we will get it back. We will retrieve that. When you are trying to retrieve it, it should come very fast. It can't say that I have so much of luggage. I'll take much time to come out. No. So that's the reason.
Before assigning data type, we need to look at storage type of.
Absolutely, sir. Before storing the data, you need to take care of all these things. You can't store the data as we like. So before storing the data itself, we'll define that this column will contain numbers. And this is the data type of that particular field or column. Yeah. For example, now I have name. If I want to store name, then what is the correct data type I should use? No, I'm so sorry. I think I scrolled. Yeah. I want to store name, sir. Should I use char or should I use varchar or should I use nchar or should I use nvarchar? Which one I should use?
Nvarchar. Any language we can prefer.
So you are saying nchar or nvarchar?
In variable language, we can use nvarchar.
Okay.
In Kero, in big scale, you can use nvarchar.
Tell me only one answer, sir. Nchar. Okay. What do you think, ma'am? Nchar. Why nchar? If you see this here, nchar used to store fixed length. Does names have fixed length? Then nchar doesn't work. Nvarchar. We can't use nchar for that. You have to go with nvarchar. Am I clear? Am I clear? Yeah. For example, now let's say I want to store college department names.
Department, you can use nvarchar.
nvarchar. Are we, I mean, generally, do we store college department names in any other language? Mostly English. If you want to store only in English, why do we need to go for another? Is it fixed length?
No, it's not excellent.
Yeah, the length varies because, for example, you take MBA and MCA, both doesn't have same length. Yeah, Master of Business Application, Master of Computer Application. So both are not same. So there we go with VARCHAR. Am I clear? Yeah. PAN number, we go with PAN number. We can go with CAR because mostly English and alphanumetric. Yeah. Aadhaar number, CAR because fixed length. Passport number, CAR. Whenever we have to use another language, then NCAR and NVARCHAR comes into picture. Another language. But if you are not using apart from English any other language, then it doesn't make sense to go to any other languages like NCAR and NVARCHAR. Are we good? Any questions? No? Can I move on? Okay. Then let me bring up two more words here. That is, we have different types of commands here. Where do we have it? Yeah. So these are the words which we must be familiar. Okay. First one is DDL commands. DDL stands for not DDLJ, guys. Yeah. Data definition language. Okay. What are the commands we have in DDL? Create, alter, drop. What is the meaning of this? You are defining your table. You create a table, you alter a table, you drop table. Am I clear? So we are defining it. There we use this command. Then we have DML commands. So you insert a record into a table, you update a record in the table, or you delete a record in the table. So we call them as DML commands. The next one, we have DQL. This is what we are going to discuss next. Data query language. Using this, we query the data, which means we upload the data or we download the data. Either incoming or outgoing. Then we have one more thing, that is DCL. Any idea? Data control language, which stands for you will grant access, you revoke access. For example, let's say our friend is the IT admin. I joined in the company. Then she has to give me the access. Otherwise, how will I work? Yeah. So here, using these DCL commands, we grant access or we revoke access. What if I worked for 2 years, then I left the company? She has to remove my access. That we call as revoke. Yeah. Finally, we have TCL commands, not TCL DVs. This TCL is different. Yeah. TCL stands for transaction control language. What do we do? For example, let's say you go to Make My Trip or you go to Abhibus, any of these websites, and you try to book tickets or book my show. Yeah. So now you fill all your details and you make payment. Then the transaction should be committed because you made the payment. So that's what we'll do with TCL. And also, I don't know how many of you used IRCTC. Anyone used IRCTC website?
I didn't understand.
Okay. I use it very frequent, sir, because I travel a lot. Okay. So if I want to book train tickets, I use IRCTC. Okay. The best thing with IRCTC login is if you keep it idle for 4 to 5 minutes, it will log out. Same like your net banking. You log into your net banking, you don't do anything, you just keep it idle. It will log out. So here, what it will do is it will begin your transactions. It will commit your transactions. If the payment failed, it will roll back the transaction. Are we good? Yeah, these are the commands what we have, sir. Now for tomorrow, what I need from you, do you have laptop? You have? Okay. So I'll share these two files with Ritika, guys. She will share them in the group. Okay. I hope I have access. If I have access, I'll drop them directly. Okay. So use these two files and complete the installation. Every day you can bring your laptop. Every day. Yeah. We will learn, and along with that, we will try to practice. Yeah. For you, we can take institute laptops. Huh?
I got it.
Oh, okay. That's very nice. Then party. You got your laptop. Okay. I'll share these two files, guys.
So these two we can download and we can use from these.
Yes. You have the clear instructions. Sorry? Yes. We have them.
This
In
is
the
SQL server, that is the first one. sir.
first one. First one.
And the SLMS is the
Second one. Yes. I'll share this entire folder with you, ma'am, but not now immediately. So I don't want to dump everything on the first day itself. Yeah. Let's put it very simple. I'll share these two files. You can use them and you can start working. Sir, any questions? As of now, no. Yeah, as we,
We will get the two files today.
yes. Let me check, sir. I'll stop sharing.